Welcome to the UPoker Academy Poker Lecture Series designed to make you a better poker player. We're in another heads-up sit and go against a player I've never played against before. If you've been watching the videos so far, you'll know that heads-up poker is all about adjusting to your opponents. So we're going to try to adjust to this player quickly and win this game from him. So he raised his button. Okay, a lot of players don't raise their buttons. This guy is going to, so that's going to be the first thing we notice is whether or not he raises his button. Of course, we're raising all of our buttons. And now he's just called. So it looks like he's not gonna be a professional player if he's just calling his button. Professional players never call their button, or very rarely call their button without a good reason to. And we have nothing, so we're checking it down. We're looking at top pair, so he didn't bet the top pair the whole way through. That's going to mean he's going to be a passive player. I think this time we can call. We've got the 5-7, plays well. So he's going to let us check it down, so we are going to check it down. There's no reason to bluff into a passive player. Notice he raises buttons with 9 there, 2 9s, so we don't know if he's raising his button with bad hands yet. I assume that he's raising with good hands because he calls some and raises some. That seems like a pretty good read to have at this point. So we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to try to play a little small ball poker with him. So to see if he's vulnerable to small ball, we're going to throw out a couple of small bets. So this time he folded on the flop, which is a great sign. Next time we're going to do the same thing. We're going to raise and c-bet and then throw a double bluff out if he calls on the flop. And that should give us a good idea of whether or not he's vulnerable to small ball, whether or not he's going to fold to lots of little bets. And if we can find out that he is, then we've got a huge edge. With small ball poker, you typically just chip your opponents down little by little, and you should see that happen in this game. Good little flop for us to small ball with. So we're going to bet one more time on the turn and see what happens. Great turn card for us. With a little half pot bet. And now we're going to check and we're going to see what he's called us down with. I'm thinking probably a queen. So he's going to bet, so he definitely did have the queen. I don't see him bluffing given what we know about him with anything but. Of course, I could always be wrong, so we did just have king 6. Interesting play. So he's showing his cards. This is good. Lets us get more information about what hands he's playing. And seeing that king 9 is great because it lets us know that he is calling on the flop without a pair. So that's not going to be vulnerable to small ball. It's going to be vulnerable to long ball. So we're going to go the other way. Instead of making lots of little bets with no hands, we're still going to fire out a c-bet. But we're not going to fire out that turn bet unless we've got a hand because we know he's willing to go 2 streets and then even bet the river. So great hand for us here. We're going to go in and try to get it all in right now. You do get it in. He does turn the hand to beat us, but that happens in heads up all the time. Nothing we can do about that. Let's see if he'll play a rematch. So we do get the rematch, and we're going to have a chance to avenge our 5-outer. That's been happening to me quite a bit lately, but it does happen, and we are going to try to get the same action on the same type of flop against him again. He is willing to stack off a top pair, no kicker. It's a great thing to know about an opponent. So I don't think this is going to be the right flop to c-bet. We have 4 outs, but they're not good outs. And it's a very connected flop, and he likely hit it in some way. So I usually just check that, and I delay the c-bet to the turn. So not much here. I'm just going to check and fold. So the ace-10 against this opponent, he's most likely going to call and we're going to raise. Had he raised, we probably would have just called. Normally we'd re-raise ace-10, but he's only raising his strong hands, and we know that about him. So we're not going to be re-raising ace-10 into a strong hand. It has more value to just call and maybe flop a 10 or flop an ace, and then play it a little bit slow. Okay, not much to do there. So it's going to be kind of a casual, slow game. He's going to fold a lot. He's going to call a lot. Of course, we're still going to be betting, but it feels like it's going to chip down slowly until we both catch hands. So no reason to bluff against a calling station. We're just going to check it down and look at his jack high or whatever. So apparently to him, middle pair might be a bad hand. He says he was going to fold. I believe him. Curious given how loose he is. Maybe he sees top pair as much stronger than it is, and middle or bottom pair much weaker than it is. That could be a possibility. So we get raised here. I don't think he's got the jack. We're going to call this. We're going to see what happens in the river. So we're going to check it to him and let him have a shot. And he's going to go all in, so we're just going to fold. He probably didn't have the jack there, but that's fine if he's going to be making moves like that. So he did have the jack. If he's going to be making moves like that, we're going to win a lot of chips off of him, a lot of the time. So it won't be long before his luck turns. He's been running pretty good so far, but that's going to all end very shortly. All we need is for him to run a little bit less good against us. And it looks like he's just found his chance to get stacked. He raises 4 times. We go all in. He can fold here, and we're fine with that. We pick up a huge chip stack. If he calls, we've got a big edge. I think he'll call and show us ace 8. Pocket 3, so we do win. There's a really poor call on his part with pocket 3s there. So let's see if we can't knock the last 10 big blinds out of his stack. That 4 times raise with pocket 3s was really bad too, because if we'd had something like 10-9 suited and called him and we hit a pair, we weren't going to go anywhere. So he really couldn't have benefited from that raise at all. So he's going to min re-raise us. We're going to call this with an E2. Nothing on this flop, so we're going to get rid of it. Three two is probably a little bit too weak to raise this short. Typically I would raise that, but we are short and he has a calling station. All I'm going to hit's bottom pair. It's not going to do much good for me. So we are down to about 8 big blinds. After this hand, it's going to be time to bring out the Nash Equilibrium. So we get jammed on. I don't see any value in calling this. We're calling 1950 to win. Well, I think we are pot committed to call this actually. I guess that's close. I'm going to go in and fold. I think we have more value waiting and playing with short stacks. So we're at 10 big blinds deep. Jack Queen is a shove, anywhere under 20 big blinds. The reason we're shoving this is to pick up the pot, and if he does decide to call, we've still got 30 to 40% equity against him. He might even call with something like Queen 10, in which case we've got 75% equity. This time he calls with Jack King, but we do suck out. And that's the game. We'll see if we can get another one going. So we do get one more game out of him. Let's get this going. Thank you for the free information. Ace 8 here is not going to be good enough to call a re-raise. We got plenty of time left to take a stack, but as you see there, he had us dominated. So again, thank you for the information. So I've got a pretty good handle on this player now, and it's going to be relatively simple to just chip him down slowly with the small raises and c-bets. I think that's going to be effective enough to earn a pretty good edge on this guy. I would play him all day long. He's clearly not a great player. We're going to call this re-raise. We're going to flop a good hand, and we're going to take a stack. This time, of course, we didn't. So we're going to check it down. If we hit a 9, we've probably got it 1. No thanks. Alright, great. So we've been re-raised. This is the time to go in and put in a sizable re-raise again. He's looking to stack off with us. After that 4-3 raise, I don't think he's doing it with a weak hand. Definitely not weaker than Ace-Jack. We're getting pot odds to call here. We're calling 7 into a 3,400. But I don't know if we can continue playing. I mean, the worst thing to come is a queen at this point, so we are going to try to check it down. He's gone all in. I think he's got us beat. I think there's no question about that. So there you see he had King-Jack. So he definitely doesn't need a great hand to 5-bet us. That's a good read to have. So definitely a spewy player. I haven't seen any good play from him yet. He's been lucky enough that we haven't had a hand when he was spewing. The second that he does spew into our hand, we're obviously going to call and we're going to take a stack off of him. A good example would be the pocket threes from last game where we had jacks. He raised 4 times the big blind, which is a huge spew. We went all in. And of course he lost his entire stack because he called with 3, so it was a bad raise, it was a bad call. It was altogether bad play, and all we had to have was a hand to stack him. So, you know, when you've got that kind of an opponent where you just need a hand, they're a good player to keep playing against. Now, that's different than a player who is very aggressive but knows when to pull off the gas, kind of like I am. If a player caught a hand against me, I likely wouldn't overcommit myself to bluffing. This player, on the other hand, will. It's definitely not the flop we're looking at against a min re-raise. He probably doesn't have a pair yet. He did just check to us. He might have an ace, he might have a king, he might have a 10. Yeah, we're not doing very good now. I think he's got us beat with a weak ace or a weak king. Yeah, so we're just going to get rid of this. I think we do have the outs to bet here. Or I think we do have the equity to bet there. He did have the king. Of course, he checked the king down because he's completely passive. But a lot of time he has an 8, a 9, or a 10 high, and we take down a pot there. So we are getting into the short stack territory where we are going to pull up the Nash equilibrium. So Queen 9 is a great hand. We're going to go on and turn this around and jam it on him. We're now 10 big blinds deep, or no we're not, we're now 7 big blinds deep. So we're going to continue our Nash equilibrium play. We jam with the ace-8, we get it in a head. We're dodging a jack or a queen, and we do dodge them, we double up. So now because we're over 10 big blinds, we're going to be leaving the Nash. We're going to be going back to our normal strategy of raising and c-betting. And we do flop a hand that we're going to stack off with, so we are going to fire 3 barrels. This time he folded on the first barrel. He very rarely folds after the flop, but he is going to fold when we have a hand. Just seems to be how this game is going. So we've got the deuce 4. We have to continue our aggression. So with the waiting, I don't think this is a time to c-bet. That feels like a timing tell to me. Like he was thinking, should I bet or should I check? He was trying to figure out how to play his hand. I have a feeling he's going to bet here. He might just be busy, so I'm going to go in and fire out a bet here. It's a very connected flop, and he said before he doesn't like middle pairs. So we were right in the first place. He was trying to figure out how to play his monster hand. Had he had an 8 or a 6 there, I believe he would have folded. That's why we went on and bet. So we are getting down to 8 big blinds. It's going to be time to pull out the charts again. Three, 4 is a fold. It would be a push under, I think, 2 big blinds. It's a really weak push. So we're still at 10 big blinds because the effective stack is 3,900. So we're still going to be using the Nash equilibrium. 9-2 suited. It's a jam at 3.7 big blinds. We're above that, so we are going to fold. T7 is going to be just about right. It's a jam at 9 big blinds. He's at 9.2, but I'm going to jam a little bit looser than the Nash because I think he's folding a little bit tighter than the Nash. So if it's within 0.5 big blinds or 1 big blind, I'm probably going to go in and jam it anyway. Just a little bit of an adjustment from the Nash. So now we're at 8.2 big blinds. Jack deuce is only a jam at 4.6 big blinds. Now we're at 6.5 big blinds, or sorry, 7 big blinds. I'm going to be at 8 now. King 7, any king is a jam at 11 big blinds. So we are going to jam the King 7. We are flipping for it. And this time we don't take the pot down. We are still in the game at 4 big blinds. The calling range at 4 big blinds is very loose. 4-3 suited is not part of it though, so we are going to fold it. We would be calling there with any 2 cards above 6. So we're going to have to win some flips to get back into this. Now at 6 big blinds. Jack 9 might be a call at 6 big blinds according to the Nash equilibrium calling chart. Should be calling at 9.5. That assumes that he's playing according to the Nash, but I think Jack 9 is a fine call here at just 6 big blinds. And so we do hit the Jack and the 9. We take down another stack. And Jack Queen is definitely a jam. And he does win this one. So we're back down to 4 big blinds. The blinds should be going up soon. The blinds did just go up, so now we're at 2 big blinds. We're going to be calling with any 2 cards. We are slightly ahead, but he does go and flop the nuts straight. And so we're going to lose this one. So just a great example of how you can be a better poker player and still losing heads at poker. Nothing wrong with how he played, except for the fact that he was spewing pretty substantially with weak hands. Fortunately, we never had the hand that we needed to take him out. And then he did win some flips coming back up on the all-in situations. So I hope this was a good primer on how to play against kind of a spewy player who is not so aggressive spewy, but more passive spewy. As well as we had some good times with the ICM and the Nash Equilibrium there at the end. So I hope this video was informative for you. Thank you for joining us at YouPoker Academy. Please check us out on riskoriented.com for more poker strategy delivered directly to your YouTube account. Please like us and subscribe to us. And for more poker strategy right now, continue on to our next poker lecture by clicking here.